I swear it's taken me like at least 3 minutes to set up my camera. I don't know, I was just like, it was crooked. I immediately sat down and my ankle popped out and I was like, I don't know what to do with it. It is what it is. Hello. Jeez. Welcome back to my channel. I am sometimes a chaos gremlin and it's happening right now. It's probably because I filmed like close to 8 videos today. That might actually be the correct number. I filmed a lot today, so I am out of it. I'm starving, even though it's so early in the day. It burns a lot of calories for me when I do that kind of stuff. I'm gently massaging my ankle currently. I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos, so things popping out of place is a regular occurrence, unfortunately, but I just was not expecting to sit down crisscross applesauce and my ankle to go. So that is great. Anyway, I started this video. As you see from the title, we're doing another Omegaverse reading vlog. I just now watched the Amazon delivery driver walk up to my front door with a package that can only be one thing. Because the only thing I'm getting from Amazon these days are books from indie authors that I can't get anywhere else. And Eliana Lee is an Australian author who I can't find paperback or physical copies of her books anywhere but Amazon. Possibly also her website, but I think she took it down because shipping is astronomical, and I get that too. So, yeah, I bought the book on Amazon. It came out Friday. It's now Wednesday. We're gonna spend the rest of today, hopefully, reading and finishing this whole book. I don't know how tired I'm gonna get. I have to eat dinner first because I'm starving, like I said. I have to see if I actually like messed up my ankle, if I'm gonna be fine. I gotta find my Omegaverse bingo card because we're gonna play bingo again, and I gotta find my dry erase marker for said bingo card. I'm so ready for this pack. We have our Omega, who is a teacher. I think some of her pack are gonna come from the school, other people who work in the school. Obviously not the children. Oh my god. Oh my god, I realized how that sounded after I said it. The other adults in the school will be who her pack is. I'm pretty sure everyone in this pack is over 30, which is great. Love that representation. And I'm pretty sure they're also all people or characters of color. Specifically, I think they're Asian. I don't remember. She had done character studies on her Instagram listing like where each character is from, and I don't remember specifically what she said now. I think maybe the Philippines is one of them. I think maybe Thailand might be another one. I really can't remember, which is awful. But I'm gonna find out in the book. Editing Sasha here. I forgot something important to mention about this book. It has great representation for characters of color. One of our characters is from Sri Lanka. One of our characters is from Singapore. Pretty sure? I'm pretty sure. I think that's right. I'll double check because I think Eliana Lee did like a character study on Instagram. So I'll put those pictures on the screen, and I think it includes where each character is from and their heritage. And that is also something that comes up in the story as something they've struggled with, and why one of the characters doesn't use his full name. And yeah, obviously I was like going through my head trying to tick off everything, and it's like Amelia Emerson is known for having disability rep and having this and having that, and I was like, but Eliana Lee is known for having representation of characters of color, and then I was like, oh my god, I didn't even mention that in my review. So this is going to go both in my review and in my reading vlog. So you'll see this clip twice if you watch both of those videos, but I had to mention it before we end. So just another note. Another great reason to read this book. It's an author of color and characters of color. So we're going to read this together. We'll do a very quickest in your life unboxing, and then we're going to start reading it right away. I'm going to start marking off my bingo card, okay? If you want your own bingo card, you can go down to the description. It is listed in my link tree as Omegaverse Bingo. and you can download it, you can print it, you can have it. It's yours. I have a great time. I'm probably going to read a few more Omegaverse stories with this bingo card before I switch it out and do new prompts to try and get new and exciting different bingos. So that's the plan. Hope you're excited for another Omegaverse reading vlog. Yeah, let's get to reading. Here we go. Okay, the book just arrived. I'm so excited. I maybe should have grabbed, oh, got it, scissors. We don't need no scissors. It's very cute. I gotta find Felix. There he is. He's catching a snowflake. Pack for Winter by Eliana Lee. There's Felix and a little snowflake that he's catching. It won't, you know, do the thing. I'm so excited to read this. I am currently reading a different holiday book, this one here, and I actually think, what do I want to do? I could potentially stop this book. I'm on page 125, and start this one, because I'm going to read this in a day, probably, and then just go back to this, because I have been anticipating this book for months and months, and Omegaverse is my comfort reads. Omegaverse, and this is Cozyverse, so we're getting even more of what I love already. I think I'm gonna have to, and we'll probably start another round of Omegaverse bingo. I think that's what we're gonna have to do. I think the rest of the day and the night is gonna be me reading this book that's still warm from being in the sun on my doorstep. Okay, I'm very excited. I have to go find my marker, because it's packed away with all of my event stuff for when I do vendor events with my bookmarks. Speaking of bookmarks, I'll show you one. I have one right here. Deck the halls with books and coffee. Fa la 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 by Dreaming of Stars Co. Okay, let's get my marker. Let's get ready to do another reading vlog. I hope you're excited. I'm excited. Okay. Hello. Good morning. It's the next day, despite me still wearing the same shirt, because I haven't got dressed yet. This is a pajama shirt. It's Bang Chan from Stray Kids. I read this in 3 hours. In one sitting. I did get up to make myself hot chocolate. I think I filmed that. Or did I? I don't remember. I think I also remembered to film one time when we went to get, there's like, so if you're not into Omegaverse, this might not make sense to you, but for my girlies and gays and theys and everyone else who is into Omegaverse, there's this thing where they have to buy things for their nest, right? And there are department stores for the nest. So we went to the Nest department store, and I always love that. I'm pretty sure I filmed the chapter where that happened, or the chapter right after that happened. I don't remember. And you know what else I didn't remember? I didn't play a lick of bingo. So we're gonna go through this together right now. And I'm gonna, there's some things that I had to have written down in the moment. Like what what percentage in the book or what page in the book did X happen? And I didn't write any of that down. So let's just go through it together. It's going to be a little overview of the book, and I'll try and give you a little bit of my experience overall, and we'll just have a grand old time, hopefully. I don't even know. I'm probably going to do a separate video for an official book review on the channel, so let's get the bingo out of the way, since this whole video is just kind of like a whirlwind. I read this too fast. Okay. There are 3 or more alphas in the pack. Negative. I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm going straight across, and you'll see this as I'm filming me scribbling it, so yeah. The pack antics had you giggling and kicking your feet. I was definitely smiling a lot in this, but I felt like this pack was kind of a lot more serious than the last one, so I don't know that I considered myself giggling and kicking my feet. I smiled through a lot of it though, like my cheeks were hurting. The next one, you posted a rating or review after finishing the book. That's obviously going to happen. The alphas/betas fuss over their omega, 100% that happened. The full pack get into the omega's nest. Yes, they do. That happens. One member of the pack is adorably nerdy. We really, like, the nerdiest one is probably the Omega, actually. I'm gonna give it to her. She is kind of nerdy. I'm giving it to her. Okay, the pack helps the Omega build their nest. They do give her their clothes, and they do give her a blanket, but unlike some of the other stories I've read, they don't take her to the nest department store. She goes with her girlfriends, which I actually thought was like really cute and really sweet, because 2 out of the 4 currently don't have a pack, so they were just shopping for themselves, and Ivy, our Omega, is so used to having to shop for herself anyway that she was still doing that out of habit. And I think that's something just like a little heartbreaking, but really sweet to show how independent she's had to be for so many years and how much she relies on herself. And while I love seeing the alphas and the betas in the Nest department stores with their Omega, I really loved how this was a bonding moment between all the Omegas, and I liked it so much. So I'm gonna give it a yes, because after that scene, they do end up giving her a blanket and they give her some clothes. So yes. Members of the pack date each other and their Omega. We didn't have this in a pack for autumn. We do have this in a pack for winter, because our alpha and beta, we are introduced to them. They're already a pre-established couple. So yes, we did have inter-pack dating, which was so exciting. The Omega is in danger from other alphas. This I can actually cross off because of something that happened at the end of the book. I thought he was just being a dick and playing like a psychological game with her, and then he kind of, like, how do you say he lightly SA'd her? He assaulted her, but not, yeah, he did. Like, that is what happened. So we are going to be able to check that one off. The Omega calls at least one alpha beta sir or daddy. Did that happen? That didn't really happen. Because Ivy is one of the most innocent Omegas I've probably ever read. And there have been some other books where the Omegas were virgins, and I don't think Ivy was a virgin, but she was very new to a lot of things and wouldn't say bad words, like wouldn't, when they were having their spicy times, she couldn't tell them what she wanted because she just like didn't want to say anything out loud. So I don't think we ever got there in this pack. This pack includes a beta. Yes, it does. The Omega starts trusting her pack. Yes, she does. Write the page number of the first knot. The first, not. I can tell you which character it was if you want that as a spoiler, because I don't have a page number. It was Rome. I'm almost positive. Yep, because Logan is the other alpha, and he has some stuff to work through before they get to Notting. The Omega goes on a first date with her pack individually. I loved this aspect of the book because it doesn't go how you expect it to go, but that almost makes it better. And I loved it so much. Yes, that happens. The Omega goes on a date with her pack with everyone. Yes, that happens too. The pack have an at-home gym or go to the gym. The gym is mentioned, but there are no scenes of anyone at the gym, so we can't cross that off. One or all of the pack have a scent match. A scent match is also mentioned, but it's none of them, like, they all love each other's scents. It's a really strong, compelling motivator for them to form their pack, but none of them talk about any of them being a scent match. And it's even specifically brought up towards the end. And it's just like, fate definitely brought us together, and these are my people, and this is my pack. But it doesn't say that they have a scent match. The pack have a pet, and no, not the Omega. I'm gonna still say yes because of Felix, our little mischievous cat boy. Keep track of all the sexy times? Impossible. Once again, so many of them. The Omega helps take care of the alphas and betas. She does that a teeny tiny bit. She definitely does it with Logan, like I'd mentioned. And the rest of it is really them taking care of her. So I don't know if I can cross it off, because even though it did go both ways, it went one way much more strongly because she was the character who needed to learn to rely on others. Whereas everyone else was, with the exception of like Logan's one hang up, which then was immediately solved and like never really an issue or mentioned again. Yeah, it was mostly like them and taking care of her. So I'm not going to cross that one off. The story has great mental health representation. Mental health wasn't a huge talking point in this book, whereas in the last one in this series, it was a big deal. Mental health, though, is still present and represented because of being like a people pleaser, which isn't really a mental health problem. That's just a social problem, kind of. And like overworking yourself. I'm gonna say no. This story, not because it didn't have great mental health rep, but because it didn't have enough distinct mental health rep. It wasn't like, oh, I go to therapy for this, or like, oh, I've been really depressed, or I'm bipolar, or I'm this, or I'm that. Like, it was just sort of these four people living their lives, and they all seem pretty neurotypical. So that's my analysis of it. The story has great body positivity, 100%. Yes. This was one of the... Well, Eliana Lee has done this before in the Scent of Us duology, where she has one of the alphas or betas be of a larger size. And in this one, that's Logan. And he struggles a lot with his body image and being accepted. And the reverse of that is Ivy being really skinny and not having curves. And she even at one point was like, I Googled it and I'm not a good Omega because you're supposed to have a hip to waist ratio of this, and I just look like a square and there's nothing to grab. And so like, it's first her proving to Logan that he's attractive and desirable no matter what he looks like, and then it's them proving to Ivy that her body doesn't make her a desirable Omega. It's like everything about her as a person that they desire, and they're also really attracted to her. So it was great body positivity on all sides of the spectrum. This story has great disability chronic illness rep. We didn't have that in this. Everyone, for the most part, was able-bodied, so that's great. This story made me cry. It didn't, actually, which was surprising. I think it was just like, there were obviously some tough moments, but it wasn't as deep or as tough as some of the other stories, so it didn't make me cry. I'd rec this book to all my Omegaverse loving friends. Sure would. Definitely would do that. Oh my gosh, okay, so that's a pack for winter. This was such a fun story. It actually takes place, which was interesting, from before Christmas. Had very good Christmas vibes with some Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve festivals. Then we went into New Year's. We had a little New Year's celebration. And then it goes all the way to Valentine's Day and ends with a Valentine's Day festival. So this book, if you're wondering what time of year you should read it, wintertime is the best, but you can genuinely pick like any time from December to February, I think would be great. I don't know if I have a bug bite or something, but I've been so itchy since I woke up. So that's a good thing to note. Another thing I want to note is that this is still considered a standalone. And now that I have read it, I can definitively say that you don't need to read the first book in this series, though you'll be introduced to some of the other characters. We already had met all the other Omegas. We do get a very brief moment where the first pack from the first book sort of kind of quickly interacts with our new pack, and then obviously you meet Felix in the first book, and more is explained about him there, but if you don't read the first book, it's sort of re-explained here, because our alpha and beta pair are from a big town. They're from New York City, and they've just moved here, so they sort of get the introduction to Felix at the same time you, the reader, does. So I don't think you have to read the first book, but why would you not want to? They're both so good and so cute, and I genuinely cannot wait to be reading this series every single year as the seasons change. There are 2 more books in this series coming out. The next one will be by the other author, by Amelia Emerson, and that is a pack for spring. And then after that, it will be Eliana Lee's turn to end the series with a pack for summer. So I am just so happy with this series and with these Omegaverse books. I said this in a video I did where I judged the speculative fiction bookshelf from Barnes & Noble, or book table display, and I want to get more into cozy fantasy if possible, because cozy Omegaverse has sort of opened my eyes that like sometimes I need really low stakes, and sometimes I need the worst thing to be like spring or Christmas break ending and having to go back to work on Monday. Like that's the worst thing that's really happening in this series. And yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention. So Ivy is a teacher. I think this can go one of 2 ways for people reading it who work in schools or who work in education. This is it doesn't shy away from the struggles of teaching. It doesn't shy away from lack of resources depending on like what school you're working for. It doesn't shy away from how above and beyond teachers will go for their students and their school, and how much of their own time and their own money and just the stress of planning literally everything. There was so much discussion in this of Ivy setting up her classroom when she was coming back from break, and her just like general underlying everyday stress of like preparing for the next thing, not having materials for the next lesson plan. It was just on. And then at the end of the book, it sort of like a little miracle happens for the school, and because of one of her alphas, which was really sweet. But I think if you're a teacher, you would probably really connect with Ivy in those ways, and then there might maybe be a little resentment towards how neatly it's all wrapped up with a bow at the end, because chances are that's probably not going to be your reality and your experience, even if you got a random gifter who cleared out your Amazon wish list for your classroom. Like, that is the kind of overly generous things that happen here, where they had millions of donations coming in and like everything you could have ever wanted to make the school better happened. And I can just see, because I was someone who worked in an elementary school, I can just see that being someone who's still in it and who's still struggling daily, I don't know that this would work for you as like a cozy, happy book, because I can see myself projecting so much of my own like fear and stress and um maybe even jealousy a little bit that everything is going to work out for this character, and knowing I have to go back to school, to my classroom that's still empty, and I don't get this like fantasy wonderful thing happening at the end of my book. So that's my one like caveat going into this, because I have a friend who would probably like this book, but she works in a school, and she works with sixth graders, and Ivy works with fifth graders, and this is something we talk about a lot. And so I don't know that I could recommend her this book and she could have like a good time with it, because I think it would just remind her of all the shit she needs to get done for her class. So that's my other disclaimer when it comes to this book. Other than that, I had a wonderful time with it, clearly, because I didn't stop to film anything. So thank you all so much for watching this kind of reading vlog, kind of not. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for being here. Goodbye!